I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and second. All in favor? Unanimous. Public hearing, ordinance 871. An ordinance establishing the personnel policy and procedures manual for Marlboro County. This is the public hearing, not open. We have one person, we know we have one person sign up, the Honorable, Ms. McLean.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the council. I come before you today to discuss two issues regarding the vehicle policy. One is not being able to transport our children or no other persons in county vehicles. In particular, for me, my daughter's dad works for the recreation department. So this weekend in particular, she has a tournament in Johnsonville, South Carolina. I won't be able to attend. So does it mean that she won't be able to, her parent won't be able to take her because he's working in his official capacity in his county vehicle? Will she not be able to be transported because he's in his county vehicle? Additionally, maintenance. Guys that travel, maybe say for instance, if they live in Wallace, if they have to take their kids to the high school in the mornings, does the policy mean that they'll have to take their kids to the high school in their personal vehicles and then go back home to Wallace and pick up their county vehicle? And if we're going to conferences in county vehicles, if we're planning to take our spouses, which I won't have that problem, but does it mean that we won't be able to take our spouses or our children with us if we choose to because we're riding in county vehicles? So that's one of my main concerns. Secondly, we did a SLED report a while ago, and it talked about marking parking spaces for judicial people, judges, clerks, and people in the courts system, period. Us not marking parking spaces or not having license tags that show that I'm the clerk of court or you're the judge. So I think that may fall in the line of you marking vehicles that's driven by the judicial individuals, because it makes us a target for somebody like me that issue bench warrants for people. People are a little upset with me every now and then. So, it's easy for them to see who I am. They don't even want us to have our parking spaces marked. They want me to take clerk down. They want me to take judge down. We hadn't done those things yet, and there's a number of other things that we hadn't done that SLED has asked us to do. Because, for one, we can't afford to do some of those things, but that's just some of the small things. So I'm asking you guys to kind of go back and look into some of these issues that may inconvenience our employees, especially maintenance and, people that's on maybe the lower totem pole of the pay scale, having to, use their personal vehicles to get over to Bennettsville and having to go back in their personal vehicles to go take it back to pick up county vehicles. So if you would, please look into that, see if we could tweak some things, just so you won't inconvenience your staff. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak on the personnel policies manual for Marlboro County?
Just as a council member, I've heard a lot from some of my constituents about the seal on the county vehicles, about not having them on there. A lot of the other counties have them on there. When you pull up and do any home check or anything, you don't know who it is. If you pull up in there, you can't see somebody's shirt. We've had these on our vehicles for years. If you pull in somebody's yard, at least you'll be able to be recognized about who you are. You're a county vehicle or official county business. I mean, that's the thing within our county. People's pulling in people's yards today, this day and time, and not knowing who it is, with all the evil going on. I think it's just a safety measure for our vehicles to be marked with a logo. I know that's not on here, but I think it needs to be added.
I agree with some of the things that, the Honorable said with the vehicle policy. I know it is, me as a former employee for Parks and Recreation, many times you would not leave a child at a ball field, 9 o'clock at night. The mama or daddy can't come get them, the child live in Wallace, I done it myself. The child live in Wallace, hit at 9:30, 9:45, and he thought he ain't got a way home. Now, we done had that policy in place in 2001, when I was at Parks and Recreation. But, it do make sense. Cause the last thing, no child will be left unattended at a gym, at a ball field, because of a policy, of a stipulation or ordinance that we put in place. If you got a child 8 years old, 10 years old, and mom and dad car broke down on the way or had a flat tire, that child gotta get home. You know, I do, understand that's a valid point. That's something that we as a council might need to, get back to the table and maybe tweak it a little bit more. That's just one of the things that, ran across my mind also. As for the logo on vehicles, me personally, I'm fine either way. One, we got license tags on the cars. We hate to have somebody targeted with the thing we see across the nation, judges getting attacked, let's say, clerk of court might, got a tag on, say, clerk of court, here I am, attack me. But, it's, let's say, with the logo on vehicles, there's additional fee when we, on a leased vehicle, when we turn the vehicles in, and they gotta take the logo off. But the state says, the county will have to do that. That's state law. Say that a state vehicle needs to be, tagged, not a county vehicle. So, but we do have license tags on every kind of vehicle saying it is a government vehicle.
Just last week, Chairman, I had a white van pull in my yard. The little girl was outside, no markings on it whatsoever. Seen my mother-in-law walk outside and back all the way out my driveway, could not see the license plate. So I hear what you're saying there, but I still say the seal is, you pull in there, your tax assessors, marking from delinquent tax, anything. Any public official we have, they pull in the driveway, I think they need to be recognized. It's just something I think is very important.
I think from a liability standpoint, not having this policy in place with the verbiage that is stated in there leaves us with a lot of liability. I would expect that employee would use their common sense discretion as they're operating Marlboro County vehicles, but we have to remember, these are not personal vehicles.
That's right.
So if I'm an employee of the county and I carry my child to school or wherever every single day, let's say I get in an accident. Now the county is liable because we have no policy in place that governs how we engage vehicles. So I would expect that, county officials or county employees would use their discretion. I'm not gonna leave a child, at the ball field just because the policy states that no children ride in the car. But from the day-to-day, everyday travel, you know how much liability that puts on us as a county. If there was an accident now, the county could be sued because I could say, well, nobody told me I couldn't have my child or my spouse or this person in the car. But again, we understand there are gonna be situations where, we understand there are gonna have to be other people transported in the car. But I think for us to leave that wide gap just leaves a major liability. And I would expect the department heads to use their best judgment and discretion in engaging their employees about the vehicle policy. But I think we leave ourselves a lot of liability if we don't have a concrete policy in place that governs how employees are to use, not their personal vehicles, county-owned vehicles.
Mr. Chairman, I have the floor.
Yes, ma'am, you got the floor.
I need to speak on this because I've been very concerned about the decals on the county vehicle. Since the issue came up, I made contact with 32 counties. And of those 32 counties, 21 of those counties responded. I sent an email identifying myself. talking about what kind of policies Marlboro County government have. But one of the things question I asked was, do they have the seal? All of them have the permanent license plate, but do they have the seal issued on both their sides of their vehicle, the left and the right side? I'm going to say that definitely Marion County said definitely yes on all vehicles. Dillon County says definitely yes. Chesterfield County says definitely yes. Allendale County says that they use the permanent tag. On some they don't, but all of their vehicles at 5 o'clock in the day, they're parked with only one public works vehicle and one airport manager vehicle. Kershaw County said yes. Allendale, Aiken County County Administrator reached out to say that not only do they have the kind of vehicles on there, the tags on their vehicle, that they use some stuff called Go Gone or something, but I talked with 3 other administrators. They also use the seal, but they take a hot gun, they put that seal on there, and they take a hot gun and they take it off. They use Enterprise as their fleet. They have no problem, and they turn their vehicles in. So as for me, because these vehicles should be a privilege, just letting our county employees know that there's a privilege, but I do think that in the past few years, they may have been abused, and I just want to be clear on the record that I'm for making sure that those vehicles are identified. I went one step further and called Enterprise. They don't have a problem as long as that seal is off. I also went one step further and talked to Mr. Russell out of the state management fleet. State has gone to putting a seal label in the back window. Now, which side, I don't know. I didn't ask that question. But as for Marlboro County government, too long. I still think that it is to our utmost advantage to make sure all of our vehicles are identified, and I still think they should be parked when they're not in use.
And I don't think we have to identify a specific Marlboro County coroner, Marlboro County judge.
Right.
But having the seal of Marlboro County to let, anybody know that that is a Marlboro County vehicle. If somebody wants to harm somebody, I don't think a decal or something is going to prevent, someone from harming somebody. But if I have a vehicle come up in my yard and, that person, as an county employee, I don't want to be placed in harm's way pulling up in someone's yard and that vehicle is not identified as a Marlboro County or government vehicle. The state of South Carolina, all of their vehicles either have the little tag in the window that identifies those vehicles as state. This is a privilege. This is not, this is a privilege to be able to engage and drive Marlboro County vehicles. So if it's a privilege, we need to be as strict as possible to ensure that nobody doesn't have the latitude to want to abuse the policy. And if we don't, we're going to continue to have instances of abuse. And we get the calls.
We do.
You might not get the call, but we get the call from constituents say, hey, we saw such and such vehicle in Marlboro, we saw such and such vehicle in we'll continue putting ourselves at a liability because our policy and the procedure does not constitute and engage the language, for us to be able to fully execute. And so, while I don't agree with specifying who the vehicle belongs to, what title, I do think, our Marlboro County decal should be placed on our vehicles so we can be readily identified. Just in case something goes wrong, we'll know that that is a Marlboro County vehicle. And again, our employee must understand that this is a privilege to be able to operate one of our vehicles. It's not a right, it's a privilege. And every employee doesn't have that privilege. Every employee throughout Marlboro County doesn't have the privilege of being able to drive their vehicles back and forth, take, whoever in that vehicle. That's gas money that they don't have to spend. There's so much involved in that. But I do think that we've engaged the policy in a manner that keeps the liability at a minimum. We can't, say that we're going to totally eliminate liability, but I think identifying these vehicles as Marlboro County government vehicles and having a stricter vehicle policy keeps us out of liability just in case something goes wrong. So I'm in agreement with the policy, as it is written. I don't think it's too restrictive, but I do think the supervisor need to use their greatest discretion at engaging employees who do have, instances where they might have to transport their child or their spouse, in the vehicle, but that shouldn't be the norm. That should not be the normal engagement of a Marlboro County vehicle. That's just my opinion about it.
Mrs., you have anything you wanna add, or take on?
When the citizens they need to know what their tax money is going to, and it needs to be identified.
No problem. Lafayette, Steve,
I think they need the decal on them.
no problem.
I definitely think they need the decal also, and with certain stipulations. Just say for instance, what she brought up concerning her baby's father, her baby's dad. In certain cases like that, would it be a problem to call and get permission? And what that would do is relieve us from any liability if it was to happen, accident or something like that. So let them call for permission, because as a taxpayer, I don't want to see nobody abusing the county vehicles in Florence, Fayetteville, or something like that, or you on county business. So if you're not on county business, I don't think it's fair for no money to come out any taxpayer's pocket to pay for somebody's enjoyment.
And I've had employees of the county talk to me about the abuse of the vehicles, and their mindset is, I have to pay for my gas to get from my house to the workplace, and vice versa, and I see employees, driving vehicles. You know how much money added onto your salary if you don't have to put your own gas in your car and you're driving a county vehicle? You can add a little $10,000, $15,000, to your own pocket, by not engaging the policy. So I think, again, using sound discretion, we this is not a blanket, but using sound discretion of how and when is allowable for, a spouse or a child to be able to ride in the vehicle. If this is an everyday continuous thing, you just continuously increasing the liability for something to happen, and then the county is on the hook for paying for something that, if we had the right policy in place, we can almost minimize. Again, there's gonna be instances where you might see an employee of the county in that vehicle with someone that's not of the county. I understand that. That's going to happen at some time, but it shouldn't be the continuous norm, because we continue to increase the liability, of paying out money, if we have the right policies in place that we can, circumvent being liable for something, an accident happening in the vehicle. And it just keeps our employees a little bit honest about how they engage the employee vehicles, the county vehicles.
Just want to note that Chesterfield County did let me know that they definitely made some changes to their policy, because a few months ago, they did have that to happen. So they're making sure that decal is on their vehicle, and now they're getting much stricter about their vehicles. And I agree with that 100%.
Okay. And more information on the public hearing? Hearing none, public hearing is closed. Presentation, Trinity Behavior.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to take just a few minutes of your time. I was told I had a limited amount of time to talk, and I can be a talker at times. I want to talk with you about the South Carolina Opiate Recovery Fund, and how Marlboro County is using this as an opportunity to make a measurable, life-changing difference in the communities that we serve. So the South Carolina Opiate Recovery Fund was created from the National Opiate Settlement, ensuring that every dollar is spent as needed. And those things such as treatment, prevention, recovery, and community education. This fund isn't just about distributing money, it's about accountability, transparency, and results. every dollar must show impact, whether it's life saved or a person entering treatment or a person gaining information in the community. The funding supports what we call the approved opiate strategies. Things like expanding medication assistance treatment, providing naloxone in the communities to prevent overdose deaths, providing education and treatment in the detention centers. At its heart, this fund ensures that the tragedy that the overdoses have caused, it's an opportunity to turn it around and provide healing in the community. Now let's talk about why this funding is important. South Carolina continues to face devastating rates of opiate-related overdoses. Matter of fact, in Marlboro County, from January until November, we've had at least over 80 suspected overdoses, 1 fatality. And that says quite a bit. Local providers like Trinity Behavior Care, we're on the front line, and so is law enforcement. We know at firsthand how it impacts the families and how it impacts the communities, and how important it is to have accessibility to care. But to meet the growing need, we need sustainable resources, such as the opiate funds. By helping expand access, strengthen our programs, respond faster, and be more effective. So Trinity serves Marion County. As you all know, we do provide medication assistance treatment services in our community. We also provide individual group counseling. We provide prevention services. We work in the schools as well. When someone experiences an overdose crisis, we want to make sure the next step is recovery, not another trip to the emergency room or the jail cell. We align our program with the core goals of South Carolina Opiate Recovery Fund. That means expanding treatment capacity through medication-assisted treatment, preventing overdoses, supporting recovery, and reaching people early through prevention efforts. And because performance measures are required, we're tracking outcome every step of the way. We monitor how many clients stay in treatment, how many clients start, how many lives are saved as a result of what we're trying to do in the community. This data not only demonstrates accountability, it helps us learn, improve, and strengthen our impact. But beyond the numbers, what really matters are the stories. Stories of people who came from broken and left with hope. Stories of people reuniting, of someone who survived an overdose and today they're in recovery. There are so many different stories I can tell you about as a result of the opiate refund. I don't know how I'm going to call it refund, but funds. And how we turn pain into progress. Trinity Behavior Care is committed to using every resource wisely, every opportunity fully, and every connection possible to build a stronger, healthier community. We know that the opiate crisis doesn't just affect individuals, it impacts the entire family, workplace, and the fabric of our towns. Through this partnership with South Carolina Opiate Recovery Fund, we're ensuring that resources reach the people we need, that need this the most, and we want to be there to serve. In closing, the funds, again, do support the financial part of what we need, but it's an investment to hope. It's an investment to healing. It's an investment to a healthier community. So Trinity Behavior Care is proud to be a part of that mission, meeting performance measures, ensuring accountability, and importantly, changing lives every day. I also wanted to bring some data, so I brought two of my directors, Claudette Parker, who works at the detention center, and Elizabeth Clark, who is our prevention director. So I'm going to ask Claudette to talk about some of the data as it relates to the detention center and how she's providing those particular services with the inmates, and then we'll have Elizabeth to talk about the community and what we're doing in the schools.
We are currently working in the Marlboro County Detention Center. I'm currently supervising a peer support specialist who has just become certified, and also a clinical counselor who is in the process of becoming certified. From the time from January to now, we have rendered services to 150 inmates in the Marlboro County Detention Center. We also work to connect them to resources like jobs, food banks, also helping them to obtain medical insurance like Medicaid. Because also a lot of the inmates, they don't have anywhere to go after they're being released from the Marlboro County Detention Center. We also work with them and helping connecting them to housing. There are benefits. There are definitely benefits of connecting clients to these resources. It is to help them become productive citizens. And that is what Trinity Behavior Care aims to do. We want to help these inmates to become productive citizens. We also connect them to our facility in the Marlboro location. Because once they get released, they still need ongoing treatment to help them with their recovery. And so that is our mission, to prevent inmates from going back to the Marlboro County Detention Center. Thank you.
Okay, real briefly, I will not keep you long. We do a collaboration with Marlboro County Sheriff's Office. We were privileged to be able to hire prevention specialists with the Marlboro County Sheriff's Office and with Trinity Behavior Care. Together, united, they provide evidence-based programs to school-age youth, and they also are in the community distributing naloxone to save lives in the community. So far this year, we have reached over 1,662 young people. We have engaged over 962 adults with social media impressions. We have also reached and educated 325 citizens with educating them on safe disposal of medication. We have also provided information for 74 overdose reversals, and we have also distributed 84 naloxone boxes just in the last 3 or 4 months. From the beginning of this year, I believe, we have distributed over 200 boxes of Narcan in the community. And so a recent partnership that we have also developed is developing a task force that will help us better engage the community and also utilize the EMS, first responders, to get some of the data that is relevant for the overdoses that are currently going on, not just the suspected overdoses, but the actual overdoses that are occurring in this county. Oftentimes, those things are not adequately reported. So we're hoping that the task force will better give us that information and also provide us with tools that we can better saturate the community with what is needed to save lives. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody got any questions, comments?
I do, sir. For the young lady that spoke first, what's your name, please? I'm sorry. What's your name, please?
Diane Hall.
Ms. Hall, thank you, and all of you who presented. One of the things I'm concerned about is, do you do monthly reports or quarterly reports? How is documentation being done?
I receive monthly reports from the directors, and biannually I submit documentation to Columbia.
So my question then is, when you're making those reports, who gets the copies in the county? Do you keep them at your office or what?
Yes, ma'am, I do keep them at my office unless they're requested by someone from the county.
Okay. Because those funds come to Marlboro County government,
Yes, ma'am.
I do think we need to have a copy of that report on file somewhere so we can be aware of what's going on. Because if we're going to be advocating for those funds for you, I think we need to be able to have access to that. For the activities going on concerning, you're talking about coordinating with developing a task force. I heard her say that. Will that be based on community people, health providers? What type people are you looking for the task force?
That task force has already been selected. It does involve EMS, law enforcement, faith-based, healthcare, faith-based, and community organization.
Law enforcement, EMS, healthcare, and who else?
And
Faith-based? Okay, great. Thank you. And how many members will be serving on the task force?
I think we got,
We don't currently have a limit. What we're trying to, currently we're developing and we had eight people to come to our first meeting. Our next meeting is December 3rd.
Are the meetings public?
No, ma'am.
Only the members who are members of the task force can attend?
Currently, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hall and your staff. Recognition of citizen before council. We have, Travis Briggs. Ward. About new business? Okay, I see you signed up, for, yeah. No problem, we'll move on. Thank you, sir. We need to go to executive session to discuss contractual matters regarding economic development issues, legal and personnel issues. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made in second. We'll be away from the desk for a little while. get a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, show of hand, please. Okay, out of executive session. Old business, ordinance number 871. An ordinance establishing the personnel policy and procedure manual for Marlboro County. This is the third reading. Cover.
It's something with you.
In your package, you have the proposed personnel policies and procedures manuals changes, along with the ordinance, which reads, an ordinance establishing the personnel policies and procedures manual for Marlboro County. Whereas Section 4-9-30 of the South Carolina Codes of Laws, 1976, as amended, authorizes county council to develop personnel system policies and procedures. Whereas Marlboro County is most interested in providing the most current policies for administration of personnel matters. Whereas Marlboro County Council deems it appropriate to approve future revisions to this ordinance by resolution. Whereas ordinance number 789 was adopted by Marlboro County Council on July 14, 2020, approving the Marlboro County Personnel Policies and Procedures Manual. Whereas Marlboro County Council approved resolution number 062503 on June 24, 2025, approving changes to the Personnel Policies and Procedures Manual. Whereas Marlboro County believes it is in the best interest of the county and the county employees to revise and update by ordinance the Personnel Policies and Procedures Manual. And now, therefore, it is ordained by Marlboro County Council as follows. Section 1, ordinance number 789, adopted July 14, 2020, is hereby repealed and replaced with ordinance 871 to establish the Marlboro County Personnel Policies and Procedures as attached as Exhibit A and made part of this ordinance. Section 2, administration of the personnel policies as well as employment and discharge of certain personnel shall be the responsibility of the county administrator as provided for in section 4-9-630 of the South Carolina Codes of Laws, 1976, as amended. Section 3, if any item in this entire personnel policy is declared unconstitutional or invalid of the valid judgment or decree of any court of competent jurisdiction, such ruling shall not affect any of the remaining items which are hereby declared to be servable. All inconsistencies with this ordinance are rescinded. Section 4, none of the provisions in this ordinance or manual shall be deemed to create a vested contractual right in any employee, nor to limit county council to modify or repeal these rules. The personnel policies and procedures are not to be interpreted as promises of specific treatment. In Section 5, this ordinance is effective upon adoption. And as we said, the Exhibit A is the revised proposed personnel policies and procedures manual changes, third reading. And your third reading has in it the changes that were made actually made for civic and political activities for pages 30, 39, and 40 at the second reading.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, so what this is, just kind of, I guess, briefing it with the pages of authority for information for administrator to make policies, the pregnancy accommodation, sexual harassment policy, overtime compensation policy, annual sick leave, carryover unsick leave, maximum balance, sick leave bank, request for sick leave, temporary part-time employee, demotions, pay for performance, phone inquiries, conflict of interest, civic and political activities, firearms, social media policy, take-home vehicle policy, and that's all that changes this right here, is tonight.
Correct.
Correct.
Anybody got any questions or, concern about these changes?
I have something that I would like to say. It's not in here, we talked about it in our public session. It's not in here, but the county decals on the sides of the vehicles needs to be in this policy as we vote on it tonight.
That have to be, Mr. Andrews, can we add this at this time, or we got,
I check.
okay.
You can, I check.
Okay, okay, I just wanna be sure, we'll make sure we will do everything politically correct. So what is your,
County decal would be on all county vehicles.
okay, that's a motion here?
And how about the firearms? What was the difference on that? What would,
The firearms is new policy. It was not in our old policy.
and that was just, no firearms in
I,
county?
I'll read it for you again. That's, employees may not possess firearms of any kind while inside any county building, while on any county property, while inside any county vehicle, or while on any county work site. The only exceptions to this prohibition are the employee is a licensed officer that is authorized to carry a weapon, or if the firearm is secured in a locked compartment and not visible from outside in a locked privately owned vehicle. Violation of this policy will result in disciplinary action up to and including immediate termination. See, termination is not on.
Okay, so it hadn't got anything to do with a personal car locked up in a club, right?
Yeah, as long as it's locked up in your, if it's your personal car, it's locked in a secured locked compartment or not visible from outside in a locked privately owned vehicle.
Okay, and, would any employee maybe be granted something different if they had different working hours or something? I mean, I don't know, that might have to go under, the administrator. I don't know, might have to make that call, I don't know, I didn't know if, what, like the dog catchers, all that they gonna have, they can carry a gun and all, but I was just looking at any.
Several employees that do work, after hours. When I say after hours, after 5 o'clock, and some over into the night,
Right.
Our clerk works, pretty late, sometimes I work pretty late. But also, even in the courthouse, some of those, employees work late, sometimes, but you have Parks and Rec, you have the golf course, you have several employees that don't just work 8:30 to 5 o'clock. And, keep in mind, we are in an open carry state. Every citizen in Marlboro County can ride around with a gun on the passenger seat of their car. Everybody 21 and up, 18 and up can have a rifle, and out open or concealed. And then, we're considering just telling the whole county that, everybody can have that except for the staff of Marlboro County. But everybody else can have that.
Well, and I just wanna make sure that,
That's not what we're saying.
That's not what this particular language states.
What I'm saying is that everybody in Marlboro County can have a firearm, because it's open carry state. And
Not in a county building.
Not on county vehicle, on county property.
let me finish, please. I did not say that everybody can have it in county buildings. But what I am saying is that when everybody in the county can have firearms everywhere, and then we have employees that are working late coming out of these county buildings, then what about their safety? That's all I'm asking.
and that's what I'm saying too. I think that it should be some word in there where the administrator might have some say there, because I wouldn't want to be coming out of that building at 10 o'clock at night, especially, at some nights without something. I mean,
With the daylight savings time, it's dark out there now, it ain't gonna be 10 o'clock, it'll be 6:30, it'll be pitch dark.
Can an employee become a licensed officer?
We still not carry, you still cannot have a weapon. Still cannot have a weapon in the county building. And even with, the animal officer, I know Mr. Chad, I know he's certified, Mr. Lemon is certified, but we were bringing a new officer. We gotta think about with the more, animal control officer more than just dogs and cats. is wire hogs and alligators is other thing. And for them not to have a weapon,
Not their person, if they are a certified officer, that's something totally different, but to have county employees with their own personal weapons in and out of county buildings, we setting ourselves up for liability.
The reason there's a policy in here is because we stated that we did not have a policy whenever somebody
right.
shot themselves. That's the reason this policy is in here. If it was stated we did not have one, it probably would not be in our personnel policies. But because it was stated we did not have
didn't
one,
have one.
as you said, just like you said in the vehicle policy, you have to have something to go with.
Right,
You know,
and
it's-
I agree with that.
I mean, that's the whole point. If we start, with nickel and diamond, taking this out and that out, then we open it up for a whole nother set. This is a set of rules that we have to follow. Probably, if we check probably majority of the counties and state and everywhere else, as a private citizen or either elected official, I can't bring I'm a concealed carry permit holder, but I can't bring it in this building. I don't bring it in the court. I don't do it. And so I'm no different than anybody else.
If we have employees that are consistently outside of their official duties, working 10 and 11 o'clock at night, then that's a problem.
We need to figure out what that problem
figure out why are
Right.
employees working
That late at
10
night.
and 11 o'clock, in the evening.
you got 911 people that in the club.
That's different.
You say, you ask the question, why do people working that time of the night?
No,
But that's not their job schedule.
I understand that. No, I'm talking about, employees that are not
Oh, okay.
on
I
a
got you.
regular, job schedule.
Okay.
I'm telling you, these policies are to protect Marlboro County from liability. Now, again, we want you to use your own common sense and judgment in engaging the policy, but if we have nothing in place, we continuously leaving ourselves open for lawsuits and liability because we haven't done. I heard it say multiple times, our job as council members is to create policies that govern the county.
Right.
Now, your job as administrator is to ensure that proper sound
Execute the
judgment is
policies that
used
we
in
put.
engaging the policy, but we have to have these policies
I
in
agree,
place.
I agree with that.
Right.
I have no problem with none of it. I just wanted to make sure, just where we stood on everything there, because, I'm gonna have mine somewhere.
Everybody probably will, but at the end of the day, whenever you see like a Mr. Andrews sitting across from you in a courtroom, you wanna make sure we got some documentation in black and
I
white.
agree, I got no problem with that.
That's the whole thing. It ain't to try to, we don't want anybody to get hurt
No,
whatsoever.
Because I know for me, if it comes down to me and somebody else, I'm gonna be alive. I'm gonna tell you that right now, but at the same time, we have to have these policies in place for, at least for us to be able to maintain a sensible, level of liability in case something goes wrong.
Yeah, I don't wanna be on I don't wanna get on there and say we ain't got nothing, I wanna have something
Steve
established.
started that.
Steve started that? Okay. Everybody got any more, issues, so they were point about the
Back to
revision?
take-home vehicle policy.
What about it?
Mr. Steen brought it up too, but I also like to see that the decals are placed on the cars, but also making sure that we that the
We just got to put
employees
in
adhere
place.
to that. At least 3 days, the vehicle must be parked. I like to see those vehicles parked. I want that, I would like that.
If it's in the language,
Yeah,
it's in the
but
language.
it needs,
So
they
we
need,
gotta
so they
we
all know
gotta
that they need
reiterate
to be
it.
parked.
We have to reiterate it, it's in the language. What we do need to
Just in
add,
case, though.
is that,
County decal.
the decal is on all kind of vehicles.
With that being said, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the ordinance as written with the stipulation that the, county decal be placed on all county vehicles.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, show of hands. Unanimous. Okay, thank you, Ms. Sumter. New business, approved holiday schedule, calendar year 2026. Any questions on that?
I have one.
I have one also.
Okay, all right, and then Dr. Johnson, you came out first, go ahead.
I know it might be customary to do the day after Christmas, but since Christmas is on a Friday, is it appropriate to give that Monday off as well? That has been customary that we've engaged that? I know Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and I know that there are some that you get the day after Christmas off as well. Just a question, should that be allowed, knowing that Christmas is on a Friday, and you have Saturday and Sunday, will we get that Monday off still? Just an observation and a question.
Okay.
I
Good
just
question.
I wanna say, I can understand Christmas, but what I couldn't understand last year when we had the third and the fourth, I'm glad that this fourth hits a Friday, but if the fourth just had hit Thursday this time, I didn't really like the fact that, oh, they won't come to work, third and the fourth. I was just totally against July 4th having 2 days like that. I don't mind about the Christmas. I really don't. Personally, I know people like to shop, they like to spend their time with their families, and people are out of town, and sometimes you go out of town. I have no problem with extra day.
So what are you saying?
Ms. Dawes, what's the question? I mean, we just.
When it's been the race of the county, we adhere to most of the state holidays as they get Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the day after, no matter how it fell, they will get those 3 days.
So I have no problem with that.
Ms. Steen, you had a question?
Mr. Johnson had, we had the same
Oh,
question.
you had the same question? Oh, okay.
I'm just checking.
Yeah, that's what, yeah, and so the state's gonna follow that, you think for next year, they've already adopted it? They've already adopted it.
Okay.
Before we present, school up state calendar.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the state, county holidays as presented.
Motion been made in second. All in favor? Unanimous. Request for approval funding on the detention center engineering work in the amount of $69,000.
So Officer Bragg would like to come up and speak to council about that.
It wasn't passed by dog.
All right, good evening, Chairman
Good
Woods and
evening.
other council members. I'm gonna give a little background on this proposal. An issue of concern about the Marlboro County Detention Center was brought up to the county administrator and county council members. The concern was about excessive flooding of the jail during heavy rainstorms, other leaks, and moisture ventilation issues. This contributes to excessive moisture, which brings excessive amounts of mildew, which in turn to mold if not cleaned. This review was documented and provided to several council members. I want to thank Councilwoman Lawson, Councilman Steen and Jackson, and County Administrator Clyburn for coming out, touring the jail, and seeing things for themselves. The biggest factor contributing to this problem is the jail was built without raising it 2 feet above the current level as required by the construction blueprints. The previous warden says this was not done, and the jail has been flooding since it opened in 1996. Water drains towards the jail instead of away from it. It was proposed to seek the help of a structural engineer to review the detention center and make recommendations for corrective action. So we met with Moses Designs. They specialize in structural engineering, design, and construction of jails and prisons. They have given us a proposal to conduct a complete review of all structural, mechanical, HVAC functions, and survey the total property to review drainage needs, etc. We need your approval for the county to fund this project. The estimated cost for this assessment is roughly $62,000 up to $69,000. This thorough review will give us options on maintaining the jail in a safe and secure manner for staff and inmates. It will be a roadmap for the future.
But you just, not the job itself, just a diagnosis of what it needs to be done.
Yes, exactly. Come in with a diagnosis and give us recommendations of what to do.
Now, when it gives the recommendation, they'll give us a dollar amount at the end of the recommendation?
Yes, they can. I mean, if we're expecting them to do the work, which they're the experts, I would hope they, if we need
Give a
correction
dollar
from
amount
them,
so
they
we
will
know
get
what
it.
we're looking
Yes.
at down the road.
Yes. But it's something definitely to be looked at.
Yeah, I know we've been going to upspring without a paddle. We come to the detention center.
I did go out to tour it, and like I said, I did see everything that, Warden was saying, and so, like I said, I think many other council members have also, so, like I said, I think it is needed, to have this to come in. I guess the question would be, where would the funds come from? I guess it's not.
So, we did our budget, we said that, council contingency fund, only be used when council voted for it, but that was one of the things that we said that could go towards would be engineering and or to get it fixed. Now, when I spoke to the gentleman, that was there, he wouldn't give me a price of doing the, redoing the water and make sure it drains certain ways, but he did say, you know, he couldn't imagine being out of the range of $120,000. Now, that's not an estimate, it could be more than that, it could be less than that, but he said he couldn't imagine being out of that range. And before, we talked about $1.8 million, so, you know, but that's where the money's supposed to come from.
So, yeah, my original is just,
Contingency fund.
the request for the amount for the engineering firm, that money is gonna come from
The
contingency fund.
Right.
Okay.
Is there any reason, I'm looking here, is being that this money is coming from the contingency fund, the lump sum of $61,249 versus the $69,000 that is being requested, is that just for, some
Overages.
latitude or contingency, that you're requesting?
Has that 61,290. But it does reference if additional reviews or something is needed. They give also include their hourly rates, so it could include it up to that. But at a minimum, it's gonna be at 62,
Okay.
61,000.
And
So
this is,
if it does end up at 61,000, we approve 69,000, you know, we want that 8,000 back, go back to the contingency fund.
Easy. Anybody get a motion?
I think Ms. Lawson had it.
You got a
I
question?
just wanna ask the question again. So this is really just for the study?
Yeah.
So it's the study? And when they did this, did they come out to do anything, or they haven't
When
done
they
that
come
yet?
out and review the studies to make this proposal, to look at all the areas they're gonna need to look at, and there's some possibilities for us to, need corrective action.
And so with whatever has to be done, with that building being so old, are we throwing money to the wind, or do you actually see some benefit for that?
Right now, I see benefit, because the bottom line is, we got to find out exactly what's wrong and how much it would cost to correct it, and then that'd be way versus building something new or correcting the majority of it. But this right here has to take place first, I believe.
I saw the building myself. I saw the low dip. I do, as they say, the bowl shape. So I do.
Yeah, and so it'll be the survey services, the mechanical systems, and the needs assessment, they'll do all of that.
Yes.
Was there another company other than Mosley, or do we need to get this bid out? I mean, that's a good chunk of money.
Well, like I say, with the warden, with his expertise, and with mostly, that's all they do, be a prison,
So,
you know.
I mean, typically you can bid it out, but, professional services, you don't have to bid it out, for the engineering services. But you can, but you don't have to. And then when I spoke to the gentleman himself, he told me that, they're looking at rerouting water, they're also looking at, doing something with ventilation, so in the event there is some water that it doesn't stick in there and cause mold and mildew. So, I mean, there's some different things they're looking at when they have to go in and rebuild the structure. And that's the worst case scenario, they have to go in and rebuild anything. But this study is to just see what they can do as far as rerouting water, what they can do as far as ventilation, what they can do as far as other things to make sure that water doesn't, not only not come so much of it, but then also not stay there and cause mold issues.
Who built the prison? Precision? Did that?
But I know that they didn't open up, Warden Hood, right?
Earl Hood, yes.
Warden Hood, he sent a report out saying that it was leaking then, and it had problems at that point, and nothing's been done
So it was built in 96? It was built in 96?
Yes, right.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve, the request for the $69,000 for the detention center that will come from the contingency fund.
May I get a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Request for approval of the RFP for solid waste services.
Mr. Park will come speak on the RFP.
The mouse. Oh, you do? Okay, yeah, great. Yeah, just go ahead and go, to the slideshow. Okay. You have before you the residential solid waste, request for proposals. We're gonna do a PowerPoint, which I think probably hits the points, and also gives you some, probably a little better perspective on what it is that we're saying here. Next slide. The request for proposal for curbside residential services is from qualified contractors for residential solid waste and disposal services for the period beginning July 1, 2026 through June 30th of 2031. It's a 5-year term with a renewal option by the county. The RFP requires a contractor to provide single 95-gallon rollout carts for each residential unit in the unincorporated area. The RFP requires contractor to provide 6,800 rollout carts to serve the county. It's a pretty significant number. If you multiply that by $150, which is typically what you would expect the cost would be, that's $1 million just in the purchase of those carts. Apartment complex, campgrounds, and other multifamily campuses that utilize dumpster services are excluded, so they would not be included in the billing process. County will bill the curbside rollout cart service through residential property tax notices on behalf of the awarded contractor. Any services outside the single rollout services will require the contractor to bill the residents directly. This may include, dumpster services for apartment complex, campgrounds, and other multifamily properties. Only regular and homestead rollout cart services will be billed through the residential property tax notices. Okay. Next. Looking at a schedule, this is what we anticipate in terms of this, the RFP and the progression. Advertise and posting the RFP, assuming you approve this as prepared, will take place either tomorrow or, depending on whether or not we can actually get that submitted and accepted in time, or on Monday at the latest, that would be the 17th. The mandatory pre-proposal conference would take place December 2nd. Proposal submission date will be on December 9th. A committee, doing the initial evaluation would be January 8th of 2026. The completion of that evaluation would be January 15th of 2026. The council awards a proposal. That would be a special call meeting on the 20th of January. Contract signed February 10th of 26. That's another regularly scheduled council meeting. The transition would be completed by June 30th of 26, and then the contract will begin January or July 1. Yeah, next. Presently, this is what our current arrangement is. Waste Connection of the Carolinas is the county's current service provider. Contract expires at the end of this fiscal year. The Waste Connection provides that same 95 gallon rollout cart for each residential unit in the unincorporated area. And of course, the county bills those services in advance on each residential property owner's property tax bill as a fee through the tax assessor's office. Okay. Waste Connections bills the county monthly for the month's quantity of residential solid waste services. Current rate that they're billing us is $17.71 per month, or it works out to $212.52 annually. And for the homestead property, they bill us at a different rate, $13.94 or $167.28. And you'll see the amount that we bill is larger, more than what we're actually paying. However, in solid waste, we're also maintaining things like the convenience centers. We've got an employee, we've got some other costs. Basically, there's another $250,000 in cost within solid waste, okay? The initial request for proposal going back to 2019 was advertised, and these are the companies that actually proposed on the contract, and that was Waste Management out of Florence, Jordan Waste out of Marion, Palmetto Waste and Recycling out of Darlington, and Waste Connections of the Carolina, and they're out of Polkton, North Carolina. A contract with Waste Connection was awarded, August 13, 2019, with collection taking place February of 2020. County billed the residential property owners in October of 2019 with a payment due for property taxes at January 15th of 2020. So the payments are actually in advance, or we're billing in advance. I'm going to talk a little bit about the process. Okay, now. It is a request for proposal is a value-based process. County sets forth information that's relevant to the service that is requested and assigns a weighting to the criteria included in the RFP. The highest rated proposal, after an extensive evaluation process, is then recommended for award. There are two components to the criteria. You've got the cost, which is the quantitative, and then you've got the technical, which is qualitative. And next slide. For this particular proposal, we've weighted the quantitative portion, the cost at 60%, and the qualitative as 40%. And there are three different components of the qualitative. There's an executive summary, experience and past performance, a scope of work, 10, 15, and 15 for the total of 40%. The executive summary, 10 points or 10%. We're expecting to receive a description of the contents of the proposal and the company and its capabilities. The name of the persons that will be making the representations on the proposals, their titles, addresses, phone mails, emails. So next, the experience and past performance. We're looking for the demonstration of the company's experience in providing services outlined in the proposal. Their qualifications, experience, key personnel. Then a very important element is service transition, assuming that, the recommendation is to make an award other than to our current provider. So, that whole transition is very critical. Then there's evaluation of non-performance history. If they've, had a scenario where they've actually ended up failing on a contract with another, company or governmental unit or whatever. Looking at financial and credit capacity, because of course, these are some big ticket items. Go out and buy $1 million worth of carts, then buy probably another $1 million worth of, garbage trucks and such. So Obviously, we've gotta make sure that whoever it is that the county selects has got adequate financial resources to be able to fulfill the requirement. And then if there's any previous history with the county, that needs to be a part of the evaluation, okay? The scope of work, description of how the company will provide the services and the proposal, collection services, looking at things like make, models, and years of vehicles. Obviously, the county wants to make sure that the vehicles that are used for collection are gonna be dependable and, are gonna be, there are not gonna be a lot of failures, just say. A number of routes, one of the things that Kep does in his office is he actually has an Excel file of all the different properties and all the different locations that we're billing, and of course some of those are billed on a regular basis, some are billed on a homestead basis, and they've got to be able to incorporate this into their software and how it is that they accomplish that. Things like collection staff, customer service staff, making certain that the contractor has a disposal site and a South Carolina permit. They may have a customer service and call center, try to evaluate that. Obviously, the whole transition management, critical component, information management, technology monitoring of collection vehicles, route software, GPS, satellite, and reporting of collection information back to the county. Company description, description of the legal entity that will enter into the contract, number of years that the entity has been organized and operating, jurisdictions where the contractor performing similar services, and then, of course, volumes and number of households served elsewhere, and the whole issue of, okay, can that capacity of the county be added to their existing, workflow, their existing jurisdictions? Do they actually have the ability to do that? And then, of course, financial information, most recent financial statements, and then looking at their equipment as well, what's included. So anyway, I went through that pretty quickly, but I think it gives you kind of a fairly good idea of what the RFP is about. Of course, the recommendation is that you approve this so we can get this advertised and get on the way to actually being able to select an appropriate
Okay, well, thank you,
provider.
Wes, that's
Okay.
very thorough. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you had a contract, did the existing contract expire? When did this contract we have now?
It expires June 30th of 2026. There was an extension.
When did we get an extension? When did the original expire?
Yeah, I think it was February, the original extension, so we got like maybe 4 more months to be able to go through this process. I know we had that discussion and, yeah, and then,
Is the
and-
RFP we sending out now, is it kind of similar to the original RFP we sent out years ago, or?
it's actually, it's a little more qualitative. I don't think there was as much focus on, maybe the quality of the operations. It was probably a little more, focused on cost. And there again, I mean, I'm hoping that when we receive the proposals back, that we're not, shocked by how much cost has increased, but.
Yeah, I mean, if some of the things that we read in the previous one would, like, I just seen like for cans, barcode or chips or this and that, totally.
That's way beyond
Yeah, I mean,
maybe
I
our
mean,
existing
but that is in
provider.
the RFP, so if that comes back, and you gotta have a chip in every cart, that you could blow it way out. I don't know where that come from, but I just seen it, and I was like, if you gotta have a computer chip in a trash cart, I can only imagine what that's gonna cost to service.
Well, and that may, we're not saying that's a requirement, but we want them to be able to discuss it, so then the committee can make that evaluation.
Okay.
So I agree. I think that maybe we may be thinking a little bit higher than what
I don't care if it's one on mine, I don't care if it's chipped or not.
At the same point in time, I think there's a problem, with, Kep, I don't know whether some of your communication with our existing provider, there are challenges when there's questions that are asked and you're not able to, the customer may not be able to get the answers exactly.
I think maybe what Wes is alluding to is sometimes we have individuals who carts come up missing for whatever reason, and of course, we have to go out and check it to see whether there really is a missing cart or whether they're just wanting another cart they gotta get behind the house because they want two there will pay for the second one. But there is carts that do come up missing at times. We have actually found them in some of our due diligence down the road, somebody down the road picked up their cart, took it out of their house, so they could have two. So I think that's one of the things that Wes is wanting to see if we, could we did they trace their carts in some way, number them or in some fashion to help us to?
Yeah, I understand, I don't think we should be tracing carts for another company,
Yeah.
that should be up to them to find them too, so.
Yeah, we're kind of a little bit in the middle because of the fact we're billing the property owner for it, and the property owner is saying, hey, they're not doing the service, or somebody ran away with the cart, then I guess the county kind of feels a bit of an obligation to be that liaison between.
Yeah, and I'd like to say even outside of this, we worked on this to put carts in every household to clean up our county.
Yeah.
And it looks like it has people has got to care about the well-being of our county and not trash it. It don't matter if we put two carts there. People's got to care about the well-being of our county, and I know a lot of people from outside do it, but I think a lot of it still comes from our people just throwing trash out.
Right.
Mr. Park, on page 39 in our package.
Okay.
One of the concerns on the 8 is for its customer service, and I'm really a stickler for this because one of the problems that we're having with this company that we already have contract with is the lack of communication. And how are we going to ensure when there's not a route delivery, customers, the community, my constituents are going to be really needing to know that we don't hear from them at all.
Right.
You don't have a text message, you don't have phone calls. What is going to be in place for that?
Well, one of the things that we've included in here is that whole communication and reporting system. And I guess we'll find out how sophisticated some of those services can be, and then there may be a trade-off. If this thing comes back and, the low bidder is more in the $20 range and the one with all the technology is in the $30 a month range, that's gonna be a decision of the council, because I am thinking the greater the technology capacity, probably the greater the price will be. But I don't know. I incorporated a number of things that actually came from town of Southern Pines. They had gone through this process, and I know their position in life is certainly a lot more prominent than a lot of our residents are. So, some of these things may be, and a lot of things they were talking about, they actually they tied this in with their city's work order system. So it was very high customer service. Now, I know we just can't get to that point.
And my last question is this, because those who are on this council said, well, we had public meetings, the public was invited and we had meetings. That's gonna have to be a strong suit. Information to the public meetings in everybody's community. For those of us who are in the outside of the county and using Waste Connection, I don't want people to say, I'm surprised and we didn't have public meetings. Announcements need to go in churches, in businesses, everywhere, not just on that post on the door out there. I know you're gonna be putting something in the paper because public hearings require the notice in the paper. But I do think that this new change that we're about to make, the community in which we serve, even if we have to have town halls or something, that I really want community input.
Yeah. Well, I
Because
think,
this could lead to an increase in,
I think it
definitely we wanna make
most
sure
likely
that the
will be.
community
I
is
can't
fully
imagine
informed.
that we're gonna be able to get it at the current cost that
Yeah, no, I mean,
we're paying.
we have to get the RFP out to meet our deadline, even for June 30th.
That's
So,
right, yeah.
So, I mean, they're just different things, and so whoever the committee is, I mean, I know they'll look at all that stuff, it's just so my concern, so, yeah, I mean, I know we have to.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the request for the approval of the RFP for, solid waste.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second, any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Resolution 11-2101, an inducement resolution identifying a project to satisfy the requirement of Title 12, Chapter 44 of the South Carolina Code, so as to allow investment expenditures incurred by a company known to the county as Project Cranberry Cousin in its affiliates and related entities to qualify as expenditures eligible for a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes agreement with Marlboro County, South Carolina, providing for other related economic development essentials, including special resource credit and other matters related thereto.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is a solar project, 75 megawatts, $160 million, looking in the Wallace area. We very close to crossing the finish line on this one, so it's another one of our solar projects.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
Question.
Go ahead.
Mr. McNeil,
Yes.
with the solar projects that we're getting in the county, my concern is, because I can personally, this is my own personal opinion, I'm not necessarily a big advocate of solar anyway, because I know what it does to a community. My question for you is, I know we're gonna be giving incentives and all of that, but what, as a person who lives in this community, what benefit is it for me or my constituents to have that solar company in that area?
Thank you for that question, Councilwoman Lawson. As your economic development director, one of the things that I look at is not just infrastructure, but capacity. And the capacity affects how quickly we grow, or how slowly we grow. So when you have that capacity, whether it's electricity or any of the utilities, a lot of times when we have other companies that come, data centers and things like that, we have to already have that capacity in place. And so it's more of a long-term strategy in terms of larger developments that we can then, have a chance to actually announce.
So is this a source of energy?
It is. It's one source of renewable energy. So you're going to see a lot of different types of renewable energy. We see that in the pipeline. We see a gas to electricity. We see solar, so on and so forth, hydro. So it's several different sources that can convert the renewable energy to electricity.
Thank you.
So this might not result in any jobs, but it provides the infrastructure to maybe when a larger industry do, because we have the electrical capacity to be able to engage those industries. What type of financial award for Marlboro County would this type of business bring?
Yes, thank you for that question. So typically what the county receives is $4,000 per megawatt. If you multiply 4,000 times 75, comes out about 300,000. That's directly to our bottom line. And so each year is $300,000 per project that is announced of that magnitude. So if they announce 150 megawatts, 75 megawatts, multiply that times 4,000. That's what the county receives every year in terms of financial.
A question whenever, I used to be a big fan of solar. I was, and just lately, with everything going on, I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of solar. And so, for to be here, and it was in the Wallace area, last couple up there I kind of knew about before it was coming. It was nowhere near this, but the thing that we think about now is that we're given a tax agreement for a solar that's not creating any jobs, and so I know we've kind of did a few things in the past, but I've had some farmers and different people to tell me that it affects them as a citizen in the county, and it takes from them, and we're giving an incentive to somebody else. So, I have a reservation about the solar. I see where it goes in places, but if it takes up farmland, the other things, I just have a reservation about it. All of that, a lot of the area up there is served. There's two different power companies up there, so I don't know which one it's on. But I had some reservations about the solar stuff this day and time.
I know, me personally, I have no problem. I like the solar, because that's where the future coming. And I turned of source of energy. And I said, when other companies come in, we have an opportunity to choose, or they have an opportunity to choose who they want to buy power from. They want to buy power from the solar plant, or they want to buy power from the other companies, that is in hand. And I know I got some family friends up in the DC area. He's an engineer. He said he got 5 years of work, number data centers. That's all. And he told me in firsthand that they drifting to the south. In Maryland area, he said they do data centers. They got nothing going on for the next 5 years, and they gonna come this way because we got open land. So we need to be prepared for the future. We might not benefit it, but we have a bigger tax base coming in. We might have no jobs, but money gonna come in. With money coming in, we can do more things with it. So it's a dicey situation. There's some tomatoes, there's tomatoes. So.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of solar, but what I am a fan of the infrastructure that it can provide for Marlboro County to be able to entice other businesses and developments to come into Marlboro County. So with that being said, there is a motion and a second on the table, Councilman.
Any more questions, discussion?
My only reservation with it is, so many times these people will leave us with the trash, and I want to make sure that if how long are they going to be here, commit for, and who's going to clean this property back up if they pull out of here? That's because it's going to get costly to get rid of it, to clean it up, so that's one of the things with me that kind of matters. I know we need to look at resources, but
how long do a solar plant usually a company come in of that side? How long do you stay here?
Typically 30 years.
30 years.
Does not affect if it locates on a farm. It goes back to being a farm. In terms of the panels, I'll talk about this probably in a future meeting. But one of the things that we're looking at is a green energy park, which is zero waste. So that would mean that we would convert a waste material or a waste product to a usable product. You think about recycling water bottles or recycling the panels, the aluminum in those panels. So nothing is gonna go to the landfill. It's gonna be reused and recycled for new product.
And is this gonna be, on, county land or, private?
So it would be the same approach as we would with any other industrial park. It would. Oh, this would be on private land.
Private land, okay.
Yes.
Well, I ain't one to try to get involved with what somebody's gonna try to do with their private land unless it's gonna really harm the neighbor or something. So, I mean, I don't want nobody telling me a whole lot what I'm gonna do with mine, so I'm gonna try not to say nothing about them. But, the cleanup, to me, I just wanna be sure that, even if it's private land, that we ain't gonna go out there in 5 years and all those panels still there, and then the private landowner ain't gonna clean it up, or somebody needs to be responsible, you know, that's all I'm saying.
And get back to my point, there's about a 300-acre solar panel site, but it's got battery storage on it called Fire California. You may know it, but right now it's an LLC. So what the LLC do? They filed, nobody can clean it up. It's 300 acres of solar panels. It was I forgot how many battery powered storage stations that was contaminated. Well, the LLC just they thought it. There was limited liability. So that's what's turning me off with the solar. Is you said, if 20-year lease, you file LLC limited liability, you're gone and you have no cleanup. I know they're supposed to have a decommissioning clause in there, and you know it's just one of the things that it's right now I don't know of anywhere in the U.S. that recycles solar panels. I mean, they're burying them. So there's other issues that's just we're looking at, we're getting ahead, we think it's a good thing, but then at the back end it's not. So and as I said before, I was all for solar. I mean, really look for it, but that's my reservations of things that's been going on. So.
Yeah, I don't think it's, one of the best uses for our land at all.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's,
and I'm like,
and I don't want to, I think the personal property is personal property. I think that they should be able to make a decision on purpose, but as long as it don't harm the environment and stuff. But, I just see a lot of them, leave their stuff after so many years, and I just want some kind of clause that we don't have to clean that up.
Mr. Neal, and I think very apparent that Councilman Blackman, what we're looking for from you, some sort of commitment that once you engage them again, because nothing is final with what you're doing right now, but once you re-engage them, that's made very clear that we won't go any further until we see assurances that there are, cleanup clauses, there are things that are done that make sure that we don't get the situation that you're talking about. And I mean, am I correct?
That's 100% right. I mean, like I said, I definitely don't want to be telling nobody what they're gonna do with their own land, because I don't want nobody telling me what to do with mine. So, but I don't want to do nothing that's gonna harm the county either with my own land. So I don't want them to either. So I want to be kind of, as long as they got in place where they ain't gonna harm the county and we ain't gonna have to clean it up, then that's okay with me.
How far along the process are you,
Yeah.
as far as engaging with them on terms such as what you're talking about? How far are we along with that process?
We're at the point where we can insert that language legally. So it's a legally and binding agreement. But I can tell you, to Councilman Steen's point, sort of the difference between what we're doing and everybody else is that zero to waste or zero waste initiative, not just for solar panels, but for all waste, to totally eliminate that in the future. So that green energy park is gonna look at not only that, but other things too. So.
And I think Ms. Lawson championed efforts to have a strict solar farm policy in Marlboro County to prevent, some of the things. Is this process project costing Marlboro County anything? Other than the fee in lieu, if we agree upon that?
Time.
But we can receive a healthy benefit from.
$4,000 per megawatt each year.
And you say this project is not, it'll bring in about 300,000.
Yes.
And I think
Well,
that's
like I
pretty-
said, I'm sitting on this side, but I know what it was sitting on the residential side to have a solar company want to build, and we don't have zoning in place. That's one of my big things I want to talk about tonight. Having zoning panels come into your residential neighborhood, I can't tell you I'm a champion for something like that. I can't, because I know what my residents and what we went through.
I think with the new.
The new law supposed to have protected that.
The new ordinance that we passed that here in this council, about a year and a half, 2 years ago. We passed that zoning, that ordinance about solar farms, so, and that, they talk about setbacks, they talk about buffer zones and all that kind of stuff. So with it being, where it's located, I can't imagine that really affecting, residential neighborhoods if that ordinance is followed to the T. And again, this governing body has the authority to make sure that thing is followed to the T. And make sure that other language is put in there in that contract. You can go above and beyond the language of the ordinance. That ordinance is just a bare minimum. We can go above and beyond that language to make sure things are cleaned up the way it's supposed to, make sure it's buffered the way it's supposed to be buffered. We can go above and beyond that to make sure that it's not no one can see it, and when it's done, that those things are cleaned up the way it's supposed to be. So, I think it's up to this council. If you want to see something stricter, then we can require that. We can require that, but you have passed a very good law, by the way, that other counties have actually looked at what we passed with our solar ordinance. And so, it's a pretty decent and pretty healthy one, but we can go above and beyond that. So I just want to make sure that's made clear as well.
Okay. With that being said, and knowing that we have nothing tied into it right now, and Mr. McNeil said he will put that in the language, down the road. We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Are we ready to vote? All in favor for the resolution 11-2501, show of hands. Okay, those opposed? Those abstain?
I'm abstaining.
Okay, you got it, Ms. Rivers? Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ordinance number 876, an ordinance to amend the agreement for development of a multi-county industrial and business park by and between Darlington County and Marlboro County, South Carolina, providing for the development of a jointly owned and operated industrial and business park so as to include additional properties in Darlington County and Marlboro County as part of the joint county industrial park and other matter related thereto. This is the first reading.
So basically, this is, our attorneys, our economic development attorneys, they sent this to us. They would like to do something where they, do the multi-county park in one shot, instead of keep doing it again and again every time we have a new project that comes on board. We do it once, and we do it again, each year, as opposed to doing 2 or 3 times a year. And that's what this is about, making sure that industrial park, our agreement with Darlington County, where we do 1%, and that kind of thing. And we do that every time we do something new. We want to make sure that we're doing this, and that it doesn't have to keep coming up again and again, another institutional resolution, or we have to do other things every single time we do it.
Yeah, I know we, this come up every year, between us and Darlington County, so, just basic routine. Ordinance number 876, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second. We got a motion and second, any discussion?
Yes, sir, I have some.
Go
So
ahead.
this, if I look at my packet correctly, this is for, what's got exhibit B, is that gonna be included in the industrial park, is that what it's for?
Page 60.
Page 60? So what it's doing is allowing a solar company to go into a multi-county industrial park, is that correct?
That's one of the many things, yes, that is. That's one, there's 4 different things in there, yes. On to the B. SNC, that was
Yes.
Yeah, and so we just wanna make sure that and the NCD thing, the SNC and tobacco are able to be in that industrial park without having to do all of them separate.
So all four of
All
those
four
are
of those
for
are
that, put in
industrial
industrial park.
It'd be the same result, financially for us, but it's just the fact that we don't have to keep doing it again and again with this, ordinance to put it in the, industrial park. It's all one shot, that's all it says.
With these 4 different entities, there won't be any interruptions in their operations?
No. This is just putting it in the industrial park for taxation purposes and fuel purposes.
There'll be no change in dollar amount?
No.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 876 for the first reading.
Second.
Motion been made and second, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Those abstaining?
I just want more information, so I can't vote on this.
So you abstaining?
Yes.
Appointment to board and commission. Anybody got any appointment to boards? And our commission? Hearing none, we move on. Acceptance of bid, we got no, bids in place. Reports to the West Park.
You have the financial report before you for the 4 months ending October 31, 2025. Revenues, general fund revenues total $3,144,657 in comparison to $2,644,901 for the 4 months ending October 31, 2024. The difference in revenue is due to collection of state shared revenues in the current fiscal year. Last year, those collections took place in November. General fund expenditures through October 31, 2025 total $5,452,560 of a $16,492,894 budget, or 33.06% of budget year to date. General fund expenditure totals $5,358,109 of a $14,748,543 budget, or 36.33% of budget for the same 4 months ending October 31, 2024. In conclusion, revenues are up in comparison to the prior year because of timing differences. Despite a significantly higher budget for fiscal year 25-26, expenditures are only slightly higher than the same period last year. All indications are that we're on course with both revenue and expenditures in the current budget year.
Question.
Yes,
Page 71.
71, okay.
I didn't pay attention to the September report that you
Right.
gave us for October, which would have been the September report.
Uh-huh.
And I know you mentioned to us that this date on here has to still say
Right,
2026.
it does.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna say
okay.
anything, but I'm just, that you know
Right.
that, I noticed that. But item number 0550, general expenses there. And it was put in, and this wasn't a line item, budget item. Why was $10,874.11 put in the budget?
I probably need to pull that expenditure to determine what that actually was. I don't know why that was coded. I don't know whether it was a part of some non-departmental
It showed up
expenditures.
in September.
Okay.
September, then I didn't get a chance to pay attention to it, so I
Alright.
went back. It's
I'll-
September.
I'll do a look back on that, and I'll make a determination of what it was that got charged that particular line item.
That had something to do with the, park.
What's that?
Anything to do with the,
No, it didn't have anything to do with that. That actually came from separate funding, yeah.
Are you finished with your report?
Yeah, for the I don't know if you have any other questions regarding the financial report?
I want to get on page 75, but I want you to
Okay,
give you, I
all
want
right,
to give
very
you your
good.
time.
We'll go to, page 75 is on the project-related reports. Okay,
Right.
on page 75, what is your question?
My question and concern is the fact that, this council, we approved for the August 2025 budget, we approved for the $150,000 restrooms there on the fairground.
Right.
And I understand that there's gonna be some restrooms out there.
That is what what was approved in the budget in terms of the $9,500 that was charged to that line item is for engineering that was done. It was a full set of plans that were, prepared for that project.
I'll say this why my concern
Right.
is, and I will address that with the administrator. We're putting $150,000 and used already 95, leaving us $140,500 left.
Right.
And that's gonna be just for bathroom maintenance, is that true?
That would be for the construction of those facilities at that location. Of course, I think the discussion that we've had is we need to have a master plan for that entire, the fairground location. And that's, we were able to reach out to a party that we met with much earlier last, I guess it was probably more like in the beginning of the year, last year. And we anticipate that tomorrow we'll be getting some information on that, and we'll be reaching out and actually securing the services of a fair and exposition planner to create a master plan for that property.
So do we need to pause expenditures until we get that master plan?
Right,
So we will-
right, yeah. Yeah.
My big thing is, the whole time is, let's get a plan for out there, we can't just go stick something up without an overlay, without the council seeing what's out there. Well, we know what's out there, so that's the whole reason of having a architect or engineer design what we, a layout of it, because you put one building in the wrong place, then you mess up your whole design. So, I think the first thing we need to do is the architect and engineer, then we can decide which way we're gonna go from there.
Okay.
Because I can't see just putting up a restroom and not, no one managing it.
Well, not without having activities and everything
And no
else out
activity,
there.
so,
Right.
and I'm not for putting a restroom out there in the field when we got the women's in the county telling us in their courthouse that their restrooms aren't working. So I made that point clear in this summer, and I'm gonna continue with that point.
Okay.
I got one,
Yeah,
the funds in the back, we had different
Okay,
funds.
right, yeah.
Funds 55, funds 70.
Right, I'm good at-
There's, how many different funds do we have that's coded with funds? Do you know?
How many
Can we
different?
start with fund 1, fund 2, fund 3, fund 4?
We have, I'm guessing about, I would say there's 50 different, funds that the county maintains. Most of those are special revenue funds. You can see the second page, like for example, we maintain funds for the solicitor's office, that's 04. We've got railroad, funds, we've got, family court, we've got victims advocate. All these are special revenue funds, so those tend to be the greatest number of funds that we're maintaining. And
What about
that's on
Fund
page, 93.
What about fund 38?
Fund 38 is a special revenue fund, and that's listed on page 93. And we've got two components there. We've got the regular cash, and then we've got, of course, funds that are held in the local government investment pool.
So that whole thing there is just 38 would be economic development checking, economic development investing.
Right.
Yeah. Is that staying the same? Is it moving? What's it doing? The checking?
It's similar to where we were last year at this time. Of course, there are revenues that we're collecting. We get, 10% of the the fee and lieu income, and then, of course, we've got expenditures out of that. And then we also do a transfer out of economic development to general fund.
Out of economic development fund.
Right, yeah.
Could you send me a list of kind of things we did, and I just added that in the last year,
Sure,
just if you don't mind.
yeah.
I
And
thought
then
one,
what went in, I mean, if there's some that went into it and some went out of it, I'd like to see for economic development. I mean, cause we talked about if we done some things with other things, we're gonna use the economic development fund to, so I at least wanna know what comes in, what goes out, what is our regular to keep it in there.
Sure.
I thought we determined that we have about 60 accounts, because I asked that question.
Well,
one
that's
time before.
actually cash accounts, but I'd say funds are probably more in the range of 50 funds, because some funds have 2 cash accounts.
My only question is, I noticed that I went back for September in the golf course operation account.
Right.
That dropped that was a big drop. It was an $83,000 drop. What was purchased in there? September it was $110,000.
The operations account, well,
That means
that-
something had to be purchased.
I'm guessing our expenditures probably exceeded our income, and that was what caused the reduction in that account. That is an operating account.
So if it dropped to $83,000 like that, and we got left 37, would
Right.
that, any other big expense out of there from now to June of 2026?
I'd have to look at that, and sometimes what happens with these type of funds too, we're doing reimbursements back to general fund. So like, for example, we'll maintain payroll through general fund, and so all of the different funds we process payroll for, we do a reimbursement check back to general fund so that we're made whole.
Fund 71, it just kinda goes up and down, is that
Well,
accrued,
fund-
where's that accrued through?
Fund 71, that is our federal inmate, account, and there,
Calendar year.
no, that would be a fiscal year, all of those funds would be fiscal year.
Okay.
And what the tendency is we'll receive, reimbursement for, of course, the federal inmates that are residing at our facility. And then on an annual basis, the sheriff will make a request for, a bonus to the detention center and the sheriff's staff, and it'll be a certain dollar amount. And of course, if it's just done on an annual basis, then there's not a requirement that we withhold retirement and pay retirement. So that makes a big difference, because that's that retirement payment is probably like 30% of whatever it is that is compensated. So when the county doesn't have to make a deduct retirement and match it, those funds go a lot further for bonus, but it can only be done once a year.
If Fund 16 is used to put it back in the general fund?
Fund 16 is that, no, that's law library checking, and of course, we've got both a checking account, and then we've got, this is a local government account, which would be like a savings account.
Yeah, okay.
And so, but that is, I've looked at that, and there's, I really haven't seen a whole lot of activity in that, very little.
My last question, Mr.
Sure.
Parks, is this. You always let us know that we depend on the delinquent tax sale as revenue monies to come in.
Right.
What account is that? Will that be placed in?
The delinquent tax would be, let's see.
Page 74?
Let's see, 74, right?
I mean 94?
Yeah, 94, yeah, because those are effectively fiduciary funds. They're held on behalf of not only the county's general fund, they're held on the different proprietary funds, as well as other municipalities, you know, the Clio, the McCalls, the Bennettsville, so.
So my question
anyway,
is just this, knowing that we just had a tax sale
Right,
last week, is that right?
that's correct.
So-
So that'll, obviously, that account will increase significantly in you know, in the November statements.
So the sale, we try to depend on people paying their tax and that sale comes through.
Sure.
Do you have any idea of what the amount of dollars look like for that
I
sale?
hadn't gotten a reporting back on that. I'm not sure
Who
whether
needs to give
anyone
that
else.
report?
Yeah.
So are you telling us about 1.4? So was that better than what we expected, or was that less than what we expected?
That seems like it would be greater than last year, yeah, yeah.
So that 1.4 million is what we took in from
Yeah,
the
let me
Lincoln.
check on that exact number, and give, and I'll email all of you with that exact number of what we made in the tax sale. I can get that easily, after that on my computer.
I just want to make that clear because, you know, we hear that, we depend on those funds to come in.
Right.
And I just hope that you know, it didn't go down or anything like that.
Well, it's important collecting those delinquencies, so, yeah.
Okay.
And a part of that money goes back to the owners of the property. Isn't that right?
It can, right, because, I mean, there can be a redemption of those
So
properties.
that's not like. all
And
of it.
well, and then there's also, there can be fees involved. I know that, there are costs that we end up having to like reimburse City of Bennettsville, for example. You know, if they've got lot clearing charges or other charges that were, added to that particular sale, so.
I think over the past couple of years, we took in about, sold about 88,000 or 100-some thousand that we actually, that got transferred.
We ended up, netting about maybe a little 100,000 or so.
Somewhere around 100,000, because
Yeah.
that 1.4 million, that's not county revenue. That's just money we're holding, and then when we get redemption, we get all different things, it ends up at the very end, having to pay fees, it ends up being about right around $100,000 that we actually net in having that process.
Right, I just want to make knowledge of that sale and how much was, where revenue came from that sale.
Sure.
Mr. Parks, on page 81 under the,
Okay.
aquatic center, I see that in,
Right.
October, that was
There was a
FBI
payment,
construction,
yeah.
$69,000. Where are we with that project? We spending money, but I don't see
Yeah.
nothing going up.
So we had issues with, when we had, you know, they had another requirement, we had to get that done, and, you know, we did get the permit reissued from the city. That's been done, and, the company's remobilizing, but they are still waiting on, and everything's there to be accepted, we're just waiting on DHEC to just go ahead and stamp. And
So that's $70,000, what was that
That
for?
was FBI, construction. It was it was, right, mobilization or, you know, it was the first pay request that was certified by, the architect and engineer.
Well, you brought up a good question, because I had that as part of the question I need to ask, so I can follow up with that. And this is with you, Mr. Administrator. You says that the permit from the city, we've gotten that approved, right? So the permit that's from DHEC, what are we waiting on with that?
we're gonna DHEC. It's just-
Waiting on DHEC?
Right, they said they approved, but we just waiting to give it this official stamp. And DHEC, you know, over the past couple of years, they've had a restructuring from DHEC to DES, and they've been pretty slow, and we have some contacts within DHEC that we've been reaching out to say, hey, look, we did everything we're asked to do, let's go ahead and move forward. So we're gonna get that.
So now, do we have a time frame, a copy from the construction firm, is this time frame as far as when this project gonna get started?
We know it'll be done before next summer, before next swim season.
But I'm saying, do we have some type, whether it's gonna be a 6 months project, a 9-month project, a 10-month project?
It won't be a
Okay, so that brings me to this question. What about all the other key components that, we talking about the construction site, but the key components such as staff, training and certification, the cleaning, the equipment and all that kind of stuff, the daily cost, the daily operational cost of that? What's in place for that?
So, right now, it's estimated it'll be about about 120,000, maybe a little bit more, to run that, per year. And so we'll be looking at, trying to fund that for next fiscal year.
So before the pool goes up or the site goes up, if it's gonna involve water, there's gonna be training and safety and things like that. So have you considered how that's gonna happen as far as companies who's gonna train? Have you looked into that yet?
So, we haven't looked into exact companies yet on that, but that's one thing that we probably have to look into.
Okay, and then with this phase of this project, I would like to recommend that because we are the governing body, I would like to be sure that, I don't know how many phases we're gonna go through with this. I don't want it to be the starting phase and we don't hear anything more until to the ending phase. So as this project goes on, I think it would be good for us to be involved as far as some site visits, have reports on where we are with this project. I think we do need to be well communicated with this project as far as every phase, a 60-day phase on where they are once they get started. I like to see that. And hopefully schedule some site visits.
Thank you, Mr. West.
Okay, you're welcome.
Mr. Clyburn.
I have a few items I want to go over real quick. First of all, Mr. Covington over our Public Works Department, I want to ask people to be patient with him. He's doing some periodic required maintenance over at the airport. You know, they have to do something with the ditch and drainage ways, clear trees out. So they'll be there for the next couple of weeks, clean that out. And that's something that we have to do periodically to maintain the airport. So he will be there, but in the meantime, we do have some roads that we, some emergency things we will fix, get those fixed. But right now, we are having to concentrate on the airport and get that taken care of. I do want to announce to the public that, as many of you heard, McCall EMS station, it did catch on fire, and most of us are aware of that. And though the building did not burn down completely, it is a building we can't use currently because of the smoke and water damage. But we are temporarily housing nearby at the Clio fire station on 381 between Clio and McCall. And I just want to make sure that the citizens in McCall are assured that we are going to have service coverage in that area. We do have ambulance that's moving up there to that Clio station, and it will serve both of those areas. So that district will be covered with EMS services. I know that I've gotten plenty of questions about that today because everybody's heard about the fire, but I just want to make sure everybody's assured that that coverage will take place. I also want to wish good luck to Marlboro County High School. They have this second round of playoffs. They won emphatically last week, and we're proud of them. And they're playing Oceanside down in Charleston, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so we wish them good luck. And last, I do want to congratulate our Parks and Recs teams. Football, the 8U will play Mullins on Saturday at 11 o'clock. It'll be in Florence. They'll be in that district tournament, championship game of that. Soccer, 17U will be in state championship on November 18th in Cheraw. And that's actually a 3-game thing. So the first 2 games in Cheraw, against Cheraw, and if it's tied, then they come play the final game here over here in Bennettsville. And last but not least, our volleyball 10U and 12U will both play in district championships in Johnsonville next week. So I want to congratulate them as well. I know I'm going to have some questions from council. I'm happy to entertain any questions.
I have a question questions, but that doesn't have to do with your announcements.
Sure.
One, I want to thank, Mr. Shawna for sending this information about the annual turkey giveaway. My question on this is it's really not a question, it's a statement, a comment. Who are the sponsors? Is Waste Connection one of the sponsors?
Waste Connection is one of the sponsors for the turkey giveaway, yes.
Okay, do you have any idea how many turkeys that they may be giving away?
So it'll be a little more than what we did last year, price-wise. I mean, price is going up for everything, but I'm not sure the exact number of turkeys that we're gonna have, but, you know, we're gonna let council know exactly how many we're gonna have, and we're gonna put that announcement out there, to the community.
Let me tell you what my concern is, and I know that since this is 13 annual giveaway, that means it's been going on for at least 13 years. We sit here and we're gonna approve a contract because, those of us who get Waste Connection now, we pay for our services. But, and I know that you can't change this now, but in my opinion, has been an unfair deal for years. Those of us who live in the county, I can see many of our county residents who live in I say Wallace has some residents who get Waste Connection. I know some of Clio get Waste Connection. And everybody in Bennettsville do not live in the county, but those of us who live in the county. I don't know how this was set up, and maybe you're just going what was set in place, but in my opinion, it should have been where in different areas should have been given a certain amount of turkeys, and to identify that those persons who are Waste Connection or county residents, I think at one time you should have to show your power bill. Because those of us on Duke Energy, most of us was on Duke Energy, so you knew that person was in the county. I just feel like, and I do know that there's a lot of churches going to be giving turkeys away. I think the Bennettsville residents are going to really benefit from this project, this turkey giveaway, because they live here. So 8 o'clock, they will be there. They'll probably be in line at 6:30 a.m. Sadly, the people who are paying the fees and who have suffered some of the things that we didn't get from the services we didn't get from Waste Management, they're using this as a way to sort of accommodate us. I don't, and I'm not blaming you or anybody for it, but I just say that I wish that it should have been in areas of the county that these turkeys were set up to give to the residents. You're not going to get Wallace people coming here to want the turkey. I know that we are council people, we are donated a few, and we give maybe 8 out to residents in our district. But in all fairness, I don't think that line is going to consist of county residents. I think 75% of that line will consist of people who live in the city limits. And I do see this is another way that the residents of the county will not benefit from this turkey. That's just my point I want to make clear, but I'm just concerned. I don't know what else incentive this county is going to be doing, but I do wish that, I know that with the shutdown cause concerns about the food pantry, I know that we did not put anything in our budget. We talked about it, doing something for the food pantry. And some of us, I know I have, and I know Dr. Johnson have, we bought turkeys ourselves out of our own pocket to help our residents. But I'm just asking, if we are faced with things that involve the county, especially something like this, I would love to see that the county, that it's put in different portions of the county instead of just in one location. That tends to be one of the problems that I see that happens with things that could benefit county residents. No disrespect for anybody living in the city.
Thank you for your point. That's something that we can look to in the future if that's what this council wishes to do, if we're going to do a turkey giveaway. And those accommodations can be made, you know, for next year if we decide to do that.
If we're still with this company or any company.
Or whoever we're with.
So what, the county just have its logo on it saying that we're a part of it, is that what it is?
Yeah, we also donate some money towards that as well.
Okay.
Mr. Clark, no.
Yes, sir.
I want to say thank you for putting the request of council. I mean, there were the minutes and the agendas and the budgets and the credit card statements on the website. I have some questions. Once they got up there and you get looking at it, what is our purchasing policy in reference to a credit card purchase?
So what should take place is, first of all, if something's not of a certain value, something that's smaller, because the larger purchases, of course, we have to do the purchase orders and requisitions, that kind of thing. But once those statements come back, and this is currently, everyone who has a credit card user, they will fill out a form that justifies each purchase, and they will turn in their receipts from that. And so that's what we have implemented now. Now, in the past, it hasn't always been that way, although we, and I talked about this during the budget time, that we would fix that, and we have. And so, and I've looked at some of those purchases as well, and in the past, I haven't looked at every single purchase, but now I go back and look at every single purchase, because I see it, I put it up, I look at it myself, and there's some questionable things that I'll be getting to the bottom of, but yeah.
There's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I agree. There's a lot of questionable things that can be, misuse of public funds. It's that blatant on a lot of them. There's no way that some of these things can have, I'm not calling anything out, but there's no way that can have that many transactions on the one card and multiple cards for what's going on, there's no way possible. So, whatever happened in the past, I guess there was a policy, if something needed to be made and you was doing a business transaction, they should show a need, or at least they should show a requisition for the receipt and what it was for. Is that correct?
Correct.
So, what's that?
Over $250.
Over $250. What about just $140?
Anything less than 250 does not require a, requisition and purchase order.
But it does require, filling out.
Right. Fill out the.
Turning in receipts.
Right, fill out the receipt.
But who justifies the expense is what my question is.
The cardholder does.
So, thank you for bringing this up, because I'm not gonna call out names. I'm not gonna call out names, but I'm just gonna say, when a $5.69 expense come up, I would think that's not a business transaction. Would you not? Would you say? Would you think that would be? And say, let's say McDonald's. Would you call that a business transaction? No, but when I see things like that, when I see meals being purchased for individuals, please justify to me, Mr. Clyburn, how that could be a business expense.
I'm not going to try to justify that to you.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't think there's no justification for it, because when purchases are brought, and these little purchases add up, and they add up to thousands of dollars. By the time I looked at it, from 2024, from December 2023 all the way to June 2025, there was a lot of misuse on these cars overall. And I can tell you, I thank you for the hard copy. It took you 3 months to get it to me on July 25th and got it here in October 25th. It took 3 months for that FOIA request to be answered. But when I looked at that, I must say, I'm going to ask you, Mr. Clyburn, you're the CEO. I'm going to ask that you look into these credit cards, the persons who made these these transactions, no justification, can't verify there was business expense. I'm going to ask, and I'm serious, if they have to pay that money back, if their cars or their wages have to be garnished, that money needs to be paid back. I'm serious. I can't see us I don't eat my meals free. I don't see that. And I don't see the fact that some people in this courthouse, they pay $2 for a soda over there. I don't see how some employees get to use county monies, county credit cards for their snacks. I don't see that. I don't see the justification in that. I truly don't see the justification in that. So I'm going to really ask you as the CEO to look into that, justify why that's spent, and I'm going to ask that something be done about it.
And again, y'all might think we nitpicking, but we're not privileged to be able to do it. And so nobody else should be privileged to be able to go to McDonald's because they got a county credit card and think nobody is watching they go and get them a 10-piece nugget meal and go back to the office and sit down and eat it. And if they did it one time, they're gonna do it 2 times, they're gonna do it 3 times, they're gonna do it 4 times, and those costs continue to add up. And little things like that is really, it's uncalled for. It's really uncalled for. But again, if there's not a stricter engagement of the credit card use, that problem is going to continue. And then at the end of the year, you talking about $30,000-$40,000 of frivolous money that is spent, you know, that is really and truly unnecessary. Again, y'all might think we're nitpicking, but the credit card statement don't lie.
They don't.
No,
It don't lie.
But the credit card spending has slowed down drastically since council requested the documentation to see it. I mean, I thank y'all for putting everything up on
Me too.
the website. We wanna be transparent, we're transparent. You know, it's just, you know, that's what we said whenever we started, we'd be transparent of everything, and so we're transparent. It's out there for anybody to see. But whenever a council member sees it, you know what a citizen's gonna say.
So I do want to say this. The drastic decrease in usage wasn't because of it being, that happened when we started saying we're going to engage them. During budget time, when we said, hey, look, we're going to start engaging and making people justify their payments. I think during that time is when it really drastically slowed down, and rightfully so. But we're going to continue to engage them.
But if we hadn't asked for credit card statements, how much engagement would it take place? I mean, it's been going
Well, we've been doing,
it's been going on for years, and that's the thing. I mean, I asked for all the way back from 2022, I think, is whenever I asked it from. So it's been going on for years. So the thing is, it's been going on, and we hadn't done anything. Council requested it. You know, you hear all kind of things on the street. This is a small county. You know, it ain't a big town. Everybody here knows everything that's going on. And so whenever we hear it, as a council person, I'm gonna ask it. And whenever I look at it, whenever I see it, I'm gonna call it out. I mean, that's what they voted me to do.
And we talked about that earlier.
They voted me to do that. I mean,
Call it out.
we're right across, I mean, the school districts had the same issue. I mean, they had the same issue.
They did.
And again, we don't bring every single issue
No, I'm not.
to the county. We don't. It's just, you know, when it's a continuation and a continuation and a continuation. If we don't address it as the elected official, you can't address it as the administrator. And so we're not blaming, but we want to make you aware that some of those purchases are just egregious, and some of those purchases are really and truly unnecessary. And it shows that there wasn't a lot of oversight of the credit card use policy in Marlboro County that result in probably years and years and years of frivolous and misappropriation of county funds. And that's I don't care if it was $1.20. If it was used inappropriate, the definition of that is misappropriation of county fund, which constitutes a felony.
Which constitutes termination.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Clark?
That's it. Any more questions?
We need to move on then. Thank you, sir. Mr. McNeil, you up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
She can get it about 10 o'clock.
So I want to give a brief economic development update. We have 40 active projects, 7 planned visits for industry, 2 recruitment trips within the next few months planned. So if you look at this particular chart here, this shows in terms of the region, the activity of projects by industry. And this is directly reflective of what we see on a local level as well. One of the things that we're working on is we're working on 4 major initiatives, people to jobs. So we're making a very conscious effort to connect people to jobs. We want to make sure that every single person that wants a job has one. We're going to post the jobs on the social media, as well as connect them to other programs. It could be apprenticeship, it could be co-op, but we want to make sure that every single person that wants a job has one. The second initiative is the Marlboro Marketing Packet. So as we think about the quality of life, the industrial development, the housing, development, so on and so forth, things to do in Marlboro County on the weekend. That is a comprehensive package that we're putting together, and our image and marketing team, as far as the public-private partnership, will also be leading this effort as well. The third initiative is an agricultural initiative. So when we think about grocery stores, having access to fresh fruits, fresh meats, things of that nature, even when we look at food processing, we want to make sure that things are Marlboro County raised, Marlboro County grown in those grocery stores. The last initiative is the AI initiative, or artificial intelligence initiative. As we look on many platforms, we see that artificial intelligence is in everything that we do. So we're going to start with the youngest citizen at 4K to the very oldest citizen, and everybody in between, to educate them and get them up to speed on the artificial intelligence initiative. I want to talk a little bit about the public-private partnership and the structure that we have now in terms of the standing committees. We have a finance and administration committee, workforce and education, building sites and infrastructure, and image and marketing. And I want to break that down a little bit further in terms of, I just listed a few of the tasks that we're asking each one of those standing committees to focus on. If you look at finance and administration, establishing and managing economic development partnership budget, that has already been done. Developing a strategic plan, a 10-year strategic plan in terms of economic development. If you look across the board, everybody is responsible for membership dues and actually generating income coming in. And so I won't go over every single one, but you can kind of see there in terms of tasks in the direction that we're going in. I want to talk to you about some upcoming projects. The Delta site is a site, as you know, is county owned. We have a project that we're looking at, that we're very close to announcing. We're looking at what it will take to upfit the building and actually get that prospect located there. It's going to be some, pretty good, decent income in terms of lease over a period of 7 years is coming to the county. We also, if you look at the spec building, we also on the short list for 3 manufacturing projects, also a data center project. We're also looking at an itemized list or cost of doing things such as finishing pouring the floor, or what upfits would cost in terms of locating those industries to the spec building. We look at the Mohawk site as well. As you know, it's a 500-acre site with all the infrastructure in place. We are shortlisted for 5 substantial projects that we hope to be announcing fairly soon as well. In terms of announced projects, a lot of folks often ask, well, we announced all these projects, but what has actually been done? The first project that we announced last year, we announced Palmetto Brick, Project Pound Cake, $5 million investment, 5 jobs. And so the update on that is they've been doing a ton of automation. They've installed 2 new production lines, infrastructure upgrades. They have invested within 1 year the entire $5 million. And if you go on Indeed right now, you'll see available jobs that's out there, and they're hiring at Palmetto Brick. Sapaco, we announced Sapaco earlier this year, $22.8 million, and that investment is over 5 years, 400 jobs retained. They also have available jobs. They've also installed 2 new production lines. They've installed done some infrastructure upgrades, and over $12 million invested year to date. You'll notice some site upgrades, some new fencing, things of that nature that's going on. We also purchased, as a part of the incentive agreement, 5.5 acres. I think a boundary survey should be complete this week. We've done a phase 1 environmental and a wetlands delineation. Those environmental studies have come back clean. Currently, what we're also working on is an RFP in collaboration with Mr. Park and Mr. Clyburn, RFP for demolition of the structures that's on site. If you look at the green stars, because I'm a visual person, if you look at the green stars, this is the 5.5 acres. Green stars represent the 4 parcels that are associated with the 5.5 acres. And if you look inside those yellow lines, those are the structures that we're looking to demolition. If you look to the right, or the top right half, that yellow star is the existing Sepaco facility. So what this does is it allows Sepaco to physically expand the building. So expansions are defined 2 ways. Number 1, a company will expand within the building, meaning new equipment, infrastructure upgrades, things of that nature, upfits, and then there's a physical expansion. That's when you start seeing dirt turning. We also announced Bennettsville Printing. It's an $8.4 million investment over 5 years, 24 new jobs. They've also installed 1 production line. Bunch of electrical upgrades. So you think about push buttons, going from push buttons to HMI touchscreens. Also infrastructure upgrades. They've invested approximately $3 million year to date. Fairglow, $20 million invested over 5 years, 19 new jobs. Equipment has been installed to process the quartz rocks, 15 jobs created year to date. Infrastructure upgrades, they're actually working on the rail spur. And if you go out to the Delta site, you'll see a lot of clearing. $15 million invested year to date, and we collected approximately about $100,000 per year in lease payments. And those checks come in every month on time. We've been collecting that for the past 2 years since they've been announced. AAC East, $6 million investment over 5 years, 25 new jobs. They've also installed 1 production line. And these updates, I've physically been in the plant and put my eyes on the production line. So 1 production line installed, 15 jobs created year to date, infrastructure upgrades, $4 million invested year to date. And just as an added bonus, we also have identified a company that also wants to expand into Marlboro County. There is a piece of equipment that is a mobile piece of equipment that is a concrete crusher. They also have a mobile piece of equipment that is a shredder. So what that does is that big mountain that we see out there beside AAC East would be converted into a usable product. It could be crush and run, or it could go back into the recipe of a concrete batch plant. We separate out the metal. That metal is sold for scrap. In terms of their pallets that are there, it's shredded down to the point where we can actually convert the shreddings into wood pellets. And as we know, you can use that in grills for heating, cooking, so on and so forth. So that is, again, going back to that zero waste concept, we can quickly eat up those mountains of blight and actually turn that into a positive for us.
It is a blight in our industrial park.
It is. And that's the solution to that, to actually getting rid of that blight very quickly, is that concrete crushing machine that can mobilize, actually convert it to, a smaller aggregate and then haul it off, and we can use it wherever else for crush and run, or to put it back into the concrete batch plant. I think it's one off Academy Road. And then this new company is looking at also bringing a small concrete batch plant, but we can make new concrete from that. And so zero waste, so that is addressing that issue. The last thing I want to talk about is the comparative analysis as compared to everybody else in the NISA region. This is a year-to-date summary of the announcement that we had so far in economic development in the region. We've had 10 announcements. And if you look up there, this particular information is separated by date, company, jobs, capital investment, and county. Out of the 10 announcements that have been made year to date, we have 3 of those announcements. Our total investments are 185 million in 24 jobs. Now, we are working very diligently. Either, we would like to have an increase in investment and an increase in jobs to increase the tax base, but one or the other, it still moves us forward as a county. So I just wanted to really share that in terms of a scorecard, to, just really assure the council that we are working very diligently every day. We're working very hard every day. And this is how we compare to our peers and our neighboring counties in terms of what has actually been done year to date in economic development. So, Mr. Clyburn, if you have any questions, I guess, Mr. Clyburn, if you want to add anything.
First of all, go back to the previous slide if you can. I want not just the council to know, but I want the public to know, because I get questions from this all the time, and so does Mr. Neal, about what is Marlboro County doing in economic development. And it needs to be made very clear. Now, this NISA region is 9 counties in our region, and in all 9 counties, there's only been 10 announcements. There's not a lot of announcements going on all across the state as far as industry. Very few. This is not a time right now, economically, where we've got a lot of announcements. But to Mr. Neal's credit, he has been working very hard to bring what we can bring. And it's also good to note that, before his tenure here, the 8 years prior, we didn't have any announcements, and we actually lost jobs, almost 1,000. Not to mention, we officially lost the tobacco. It was over 400 jobs. But that was with just more engagement, some other things that happened on their side. That was actually saved and retained. So I do want to make sure that, with everything everything else we have going on, that we do have a bright spot in economic development, that we are trying to, number one, stop the bleeding. We've done that. And number two, we're bringing what we can, a little bit at a time. And we're going to have some bigger announcements soon. But I do want to commend Mr. McNeil for a job well done, over the past couple of years.
Anybody have any questions for Tony McNeil?
I want to say about as far as the blight areas, about compacting that. I heard you talk about that before. I really hope that can be something that can be productive, so we can clean up areas, and that will be a great energy saver too. So that's a great thing to finally hear and see come to pass. Thank you.
I did want to add, when we looked at the shredder, it also can be used for tires. So think about tire recycling and how much of a problem that is in terms of blight and actually cleaning up the community. So that could also can be used to actually pave roads and some other things.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McNeil. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Job well done. Continue to work hard. We do appreciate you. Okay. Council comments? Mr. Blackman, let's talk to you.
Just happy Thanksgiving, everybody. That's all I got.
Short and sweet. Pastor?
Hopefully we can keep momentum going and eventually see some things going to the ground and see some growth in Marlboro County.
Jason? Good. Doctor?
Prayers.
Mr. Lawson?
Mr. Woods, I have 2 things I just want to point out. I want to ask Mr. West Park a question. Mr. Park, on our tax bill, we have 5 mills that goes to Northeastern Technical College. Is that right?
Correct.
And that's determined by the household, by what? I mean, we pay 5 mills, but the value of that person's property?
Yeah, the amount of property tax that is paid, varies by the assessment.
Right.
And of course, on a monthly basis, the treasurer distributes all the funds to the taxing authorities. Obviously, those funds, from like Northeastern Technical College, City of Bennettsville, Clio, McCall, Marlboro County General Fund, Marlboro County, EMS,
Right.
Rural Fire,
I'm just gonna specifically
Right.
point out Northeastern Tech,
yes.
and it's already in the news. I'm concerned about how do we pay the allocations? Is it a quarterly basis or what?
We pay them every month.
Pay them
like every other taxing authority that the county collects for.
So over a year's time, can you estimate how much they accumulate from
That
us?
ends up being, I'm thinking it's probably close to, probably $400,000.
I thought that too, because of the
Right.
number of homeowners and things like that.
Well, the actual mill, if you, probably $75,000.
So,
Yeah.
let's say $400,000, right?
Yeah,
And we
close.
pay them every month, 12 months, they get total
Well,
of that.
it depends on what, obviously, this time of year, the only collection that's taking place, is gonna be either delinquent or, like, motor vehicles, that sort of thing. The real estate is gonna be collected later.
So my question, let me just put the question on the
Sure.
table to the council. I'm concerned that Chesterfield, Marlboro Tech, and Chesterfield County government, they're looking at having a meeting with Northeastern Tech
saw
Board.
that.
And I think we need to do the same. They benefit from Marlboro County students also.
Sure.
I just think that may be something we need to be looking at also, because it will affect our students and our taxpayers who are paying their taxes to Northeastern Technical College.
Sure.
So I hope that we could put something in place to meet with their board.
Okay.
So you answer that question.
All right, very good.
Thank you. And then, Mr. Clyburn, the question I have for you is, there was a planning and zoning webinar today. I don't know whether any of the staff, I noticed that in the budget, we have a planning and zoning, a group of people that we pay. My question then is, training. I know it's required that the planning and zoning people get 3 hours worth of certification and training. If they did not make that planning today, I think you made it, Ms. Doris, did you make the training? But one of the things I say that if they had been not, and you made it, thank you, because if they did not make their training today, and even the commission, the board commissioners, we are behind the 8 ball if they're not getting that certification. And I would like to encourage that. I would like to pass my certification training, if y'all would give that to the clerk to put in my files, I would appreciate it. But Mr. John DeLoca says that he would be glad to come to Marlboro County and do any trainings that we need to. But I'm concerned because we don't have a comprehensive plan in place, and most land and planning and zoning, we need to be looking at that. So I would like for us to really put that on the top of our list, as far as us as a council to be aware of that too, because there was a lot of information in that training, but there's a lot in here because we're supposed to have a 5-year plan in place every 5 years, and making sure our annual goals and look at our strategy. So that's something that I would like to see. That we.
You did tell me about that.
Yes, sir.
We looked and we finally found, I brought it today.
Okay.
It's, the last thing we had adopted was 2001.
Okay.
And so generally with these plans, it has about 7 different types of land uses that they have in here, sections. And we need to come up with a plan.
We do.
But that's something that they generally engage firms to help us do that. This is something that may take the rest of this fiscal year to get done. But it has to be done thoroughly. You can't just post it off Google. You have to do certain
Right.
research. So
Mr. DeLosa will come free because he's with the association. And then there's a planning company that was online. I guess you saw Miss Susan Britt. They will help you do your plans too. So we do need to be engaging in that because our zoning ordinance are out of place and we just don't have anything in place.
And to be clear, this plan, the zoning is what, one out of many,
Right.
parts of it. You know, they have population element, economic development, natural resources, cultural resources, community facilities element, housing, and then land use, which is the
Right.
last of those. So yeah, that, planning and zoning committee, that's one portion of it, but if we're gonna do a comprehensive plan, it needs to be engaged, not just that part, but whole, everything in Marlboro County, economic development, population, health, everything.
Yeah, I'm aware of it. That's, I've been studying it for the past 2 months. But I want to ask that we also look at our ordinance with that, with the people that we have on that on our board. I've asked for that, but I really would like to know the people that we have on our boards for that planning and zoning, because they've been on the board for a long time, and we need to look at that. So I would like to have a copy of that. Again, I'm requesting a copy of that zoning ordinance and the people who we have on the boards. Thank you. That's it, Mr. Woods.
Mr. Midgley?
I have nothing.
Boy, that's great, It's 10:10. I got about 15 minutes to talk. But I won't do it today. Can I get a motion?
So
To
moved.
adjourn this meeting. Second. Second. All in favor?